ready here to the Esports World Cup. I promise that the Las Vegas Legion versus Carolina Royal Ravens will be soon. I am so excited for this matchup, Colin. We've hyped it up a lot. We've been talking about it a lot. We've got these two teams which are incredibly closely matched going head-to-head, and I believe we actually have our first map ready to go. Let's get into it, folks. We're starting things off with hardpoint.
Yeah, we got the 6-star hardpoint. Vegas, they are fantastic at this map. 4-1 out of major 4. So you expect that Vegas are going to look to have a little bit of advantage heading into this map number 1. Look to kick off this best of 5 with a map victory. Obviously, we led into this one. We're going to be keeping our eyes very close to the performance of Fame and Beans across this matchup.
Yeah, we absolutely are. We're going to be looking at what those players are going to be bringing to the lineup here. Of course, the new additions to the lineups here for the Royal Ravens and the Vegas Legion, respectively. For the moment, though, teams looking 50-50 off the back of the first kill here on this map. Now looking towards the rotation. Already gunfights going in your favor. And Vegas Legion, they're looking to try and break.
And into P2, you can see Nero Fame inside the opening here, trying to find their way inside. TJ good for 1, traded by Nero, but it's still Carolina Royal Ravens in control of this P2 rotation. They're going to look to flip this lead now as Fellow trying to find some space outside. Vegas not getting anything going, and it looks like Fellow feeling a little bit good here on the 6-star. 7-2 to kick things off. 1 away from getting that cruise missile on rotation now for Vegas. They're looking to get set up. Felony gets shut down. Wow. It's a nice 4 in the feed for Vegas. They're going to get into the old as well, and Carolina struggling at rotating over to new. They get flipped.
Yeah, this is not good. If you're Carolina Royal Ravens, you get broken there off the back of that hard point. Vegas Legion now starting to really heat up here in this game. You aren't going to win the last couple of gunfights, though. So Carolina Royal Ravens will be happy with that at the very least. They'll be looking for the back 5 seconds, but this is so frustrating. You're dealing with these players that are effectively cutting you off from that protective rotation.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that Vegas got into this flip as well. They're going to be set up with the better spawns. You're going to be looking at Carolina hit this from 2 different sides, and really off the back of player number 1 and 2 to try to get in onto this flank and see if they can flip spawns in behind.
Yeah, you got to win gunfights, though. Player in behind, it's going to be Beans. He's going to get cut down by Fame there. Now looking for players through the cuts. Gwyn next up to try and do something. He does find the double here. Perhaps an opening now created off the back of that, but those back spawns are so damn infuriating to deal with. Vegas Legion are continually finding the garrison, the reinforcement, but nades over the tops. The trophy systems have expired here. Royal Ravens just very happy to sit here and contest in this situation. This is going to force Vegas Legion to go for the chows there. They go through. Attach will win the trades in the end. Just one more player to contend with, an Attach with a slide out will remove Fellow from the point. You take that if you're the Carolina Royal Ravens.
All things considered, it's a fantastic game so far from Vegas, as there looks like they are going to be in control. I think the scoreboard is a little bit flipped on the top side. Vegas leading 78-47. So off of a big rotation in towards P3, they get the majority of the time there, but it's Carolina to set up at new. They're just losing the gunfights from none other than Geo through the middle of the map. It's going to let Vegas in for an early contention and keep this lead for Vegas Legion.
Vegas Legion do want to hold it, though. Attach is going to get overwhelmed. Nice double coming through from Fellow now. And if you're Fame, you just got to try and play your life for the moment. Of course, you will get the back spawns through, so it won't be long before the reinforcements arrive. Just going to try and play a route here. Wants his team to survive for as long as humanly possible. Goes in for the chow. Fame is weak enough to pick up 1, but no more than that. Carolina now looking to deal with the reposition through the middle of the map. Fellow is going to get shut down from you. This is a big move coming through from the Vegas Legion. Kills now starting to be made. Beans overwhelmed. Can find 1. Looking for more. He's going to get shut down. Vegas Legion looking to hold.
It's great from Vegas to send 3 through the middle of the map, keep their lead now with a good break towards the back half of that scrap time into the second set of rotations. A small lead for Vegas Legion. It looks like 93-74. Carolina will be the first ones to this hill. Beans is going to be attempting to watch from the outside towards water, but Vegas is going to be fighting this one from 2 separate fronts, P4 and P2.
Right now, Carolina just looking to try and find their way in here. TJ is going to be isolated, so that's a wave of gunfights there for the Vegas Legion. We'll have a moment of calm before the inevitable storm that will be Carolina Royal Ravens making their way up from that stairwell, middle of the map. Attach just laying down, ready for these players to hit it. Beans will be the first player to do so. Geo able to double up, though. Trades ultimately favoring here the Carolina Royal Ravens. You're starting to assault the middle of the map. TJ finds 2. Looking for number 3. Fame will overwhelm, though. Fighting right back. Vegas Legion holding on to this time.
That's good for Fame to get in towards this one. Vegas fighting tooth and nail for this P1 presence, and Fame's doing a little bit more than that. He's going to look to push forward, drops to the side of TJ. And this is going to be an issue for Vegas because they're not going to be in the rotations this time around. Carolina has been beating them from both P1 and P2 in the second set. So again, Vegas are going to have to settle for contesting this one at the front and starting to look for a break in through the middle. Nobody hitting this flank. It's going to be all four through the middle.
Yeah, this is difficult. You're running straight into the gunnies here. The AR lineup of the Vegas Legion, or the Carolina Royal Ravens, excuse me, something we've been talking about quite a bit. If you're the last player in Fame, you're trying to play your life. That's not going to happen, but spawns will flip. The comm should come through here from Gwyn. That's exactly what's happened. They should be ready for this hit. Question is, can they actually win the fights? And the answer is no. Geo doubles up towards the hardpoint, and all of a sudden, the Vegas Legion are in.
I mean, Vegas get absolutely gifted on that P2 hold with a blessed spawn in the back. I don't think Carolina were ready for that at all. They get overwhelmed. Geo pops up a couple. That's keeping Vegas in this lead. The breaks that they had in P2 last time led them to flip those spawns in Carolina over towards the back of P2 and give them a safe transition over towards P3. It's not the same conversation this time around. Vegas, again, gonna have to look for the break. But with Attach shooting like that, they might get it done. They lose the flanker from Fame, so Attach is gonna have to go big.
Last time around, we saw a little bit of a test through the front of the hard point. That's not going to happen this time around. Attach gets a little bit overzealous on the chow. Will be shut down. So Carolina Royal Ravens here will have a moment to chill inside this hill. Or Vegas Legion now looking to try and break in through the middle of the map. But look how far in towards the middle of the map and towards Paul's side. You can see Carolina Royal Ravens extending here. Finally, Beans will go down. So again, it's a little bit more movement. But how solid those back spawns are, it's so difficult. Fellow will find one. But again, if you're Vegas Legion, you are just punching towards this hill, trying to find a way to punch these spawns in your favor as the flip comes through. Now Carolina taking the lead.
Beans just single-handedly gives Carolina 30 seconds for free in that hill, and that's one thing Gwyn said that Beans is bringing to this roster, with Beans playing so far forward, just flying at their opponents. Gwyn's just big chillin', soaking up all the time, and we see it there in P3. It gives Carolina what seems like their first lead since P2 back in the first set of rotations, and now 172 to 145, heading over towards P4. Vegas, the first ones here, they're gonna have to hold on.
Yeah, that might be one of the most important hard points, something we might have to come back to towards the end of the game. For now, though, moving over towards New. Gunfight's already starting to be won here by Carolina. Attached, just trying to play his life and draw the ire of Carolina. He will do so for one, but as he goes down now, this becomes significantly more one-dimensional. And once again, Vegas are going to have to get a little bit more creative with it in terms of trying to break this one through. You have to win these guns through the middle of the map, and as Beans picks up a double, now looking for number 3. Geo, who has been phenomenal this game so far at 25 and 15, will pick up a couple of kills. Now an opportunity here off the back of this one for Vegas Legion to get in towards the kill.
Absolutely disgusting shots from Geo, but he needs the team to turn up around him. 3 go down for Vegas. Geo's gonna fall. And now with 12 seconds of scrap time, Carolina are pushing closer to a win here on 6-star. They have to set up towards P1 as well. And with Beans and Fellow shooting the way they are, 21 and 18, 22 and 16, it seems like nothing that Vegas threw at them is breaking past these Royal Ravens. They're set up again, and TJ's on 5.
Yeah, you just keep on losing hold of these rotations. Once again, now Carolina Royal Ravens going to be in. Geo will pick up a double. Nice trade out from Beans. Ultimately, is Attached that has the final say in that ensemble of kills. Big break coming through from the from the Vegas Legion, excuse me. Carolina Royal Ravens now, an opportunity to try and get it back in towards this game. They've got themselves a solid advantage over the Vegas Legion. They could, technically speaking, still do it here. Now, no longer the case. They're going to have to go towards the next hard point, but kills still coming through. And if you're the Carolina Royal Ravens here, you have to fight for this time. You've got to try and get it done. Nero from the stairs will pick up a double, but continually, the Vegas Legion here, you are stressing about the amount of time you've given away to the Carolina Royal Ravens.
Every second on P1 just gives Vegas less time to break over towards P2. They can feel the pressure, and Fame's already looking to make some moves, but he's alone. He has to be cautious here. He cannot fall ahead of the rest of the team joining up. They have to play this correct.
Absolutely do. Beans opens things up with that first blood. In through this one little doorway. It's a choke point. Carolina Royal Ravens, they've got to be ready for this. TJ laying down, finds the first, looking for the second. Geo able to double up, and Beans inside the vent will get stuck. That's the break there from the Vegas Legion.
And Geo's playing incredible, 31 and 20. If the rest of the team can turn up here into these last couple of hills, I mean, Vegas can still win this, all things considered. They just need to get all the time here at P2, and TJ's giving them a run for their money. 3 from TJ, and the spawns in the back for Carolina.
Yep, they absolutely are. Carolina could still finish things here. You've got to fight for this time. That Gwyn double is going to make things awkward. Geo down all the way to 8 HP. The ARs are getting it done here. Gwyn will find the triple inside this time. Those back spawns still good for Vegas Legion. Can they touch in time though? You've got to hit this simultaneously. You lose near around the back line through the vent. You can't get through towards the kill, and Carolina Royal Ravens towards the back half of that game went supersonic.
It slams to the slaughter in the end of that P2. Everybody from Vegas just funneling from one point of contact, and Gwyn was putting them in the grave 6 feet under. That is a troublesome look at Vegas on 6-star. A lot of poor performances from their individuals, especially their pop-off players that you normally see on a map like 6-star hardpoint. But on the other side, Carolina. I mean, what a rock star performance from your AR line of Fellow and Beans. You see them on your screen, and they were nearly untouchable through a lot of those hills. Constant breaks over towards the second set of rotations, and in towards the third. Their rotations, their setups were just near flawless on a lot of those hills, Brody. Not a lot that Vegas could do when it comes to stepping up to those two.
Yeah, I think, you know, you hit the nail on the head there, right? You kind of, what was it, the third hill, right, of the second set. That's where things really start to feel the difference between the two rosters. They're relatively 50-50 up until that point, but something changes between P2 and P3, where all of a sudden Carolina Royal Ravens know exactly how to hold hard points. Vegas Legions, I think, for 3 hard points in a row, lose the rotation, and for the most part are not able to get that much time away from those next 3 kills. Just great hold potential coming out from the Carolina Royal Ravens as they take map number 1. Solid performances. I do want to give a shout out to Geo as well at the end of the map, because I believe he was the highest performing player there on the Vegas Legion, and even that performance was not enough to get them the dub.
I mean, Geo played fine. Geo played above and beyond for Vegas in that 6-star. It's the rest of the team that just needed to give him help. I mean, Itachi was positive heading into that third set of rotations, but not a lot of engagements for him in comparison to, you know, the way that Fellow was putting up numbers next to Beans, and a really poor performance out of the sub lineup of Nero and Fame. Both of those two players are, you know, a couple that we've had our eyes on heading into towards this one to, you know, play up against Gwyn and TJ, but it seems like they just couldn't get their fire started here on this 6-star, and that playmaking attitude that, you know, Vegas was good for back in Major 4, back in Major 3, just was non-existent here. Especially with Nero playing the way that he was. One big key for this Vegas team, that if they're going to win, you need Nero playing like Major 4 Nero, putting up just constant numbers, not only in the search and destroy, but inside the hard point as well. And we just didn't get that in the 6-star.
Yeah, the slaying just frankly wasn't there. And again, it has to be said, I think, that, you know, for the first set, right, for the first half of that hard point, things were pretty even between the teams, right? There wasn't a lot to split the difference, and then all of a sudden, I think the slaying just kind of tipped in favor of the Carolina Royal Ravens, and it never really felt like the Las Vegas Legion did recover. So, yeah, this is a really interesting game right now. Again, we kind of go back to that talking point from the interviews that Puckett did at the beginning of today. We talked about TJ, right? He was saying that, you know, he felt like their opposition are worse than they were before the changes that they'd made. Well, would you believe it? So far in this series, it's been proven right.
And we only get one map to kind of tell us so. We're heading into the search and destroy next, Brody, and things not going to get any easier for this Vegas team from Highrise. Back in Major 4, they're 0-1 on this map mode combo. Carolina, not a lot better. They're 1-1. They have that extra map rep. They have the 1 win under their belt, but in comparison, I think that, you know, Vegas, you can see that they've struggled on this Highrise. They haven't wanted to play this map too much. And, you know, for Carolina on the other side, you know, they were mentioning, you know, in those interviews that Puckett had that, you know, they have been feeling incredible on the search and destroys, that Beans was winning search and destroys in comparison to his stint on Boston. And it just seems like the energy and the vibes on that side of the stage are just a lot higher than on the Vegas side right now.
Yeah, but we talked a little bit about it, right? When we talk about the composition of players for the Las Vegas Legion, you talk about Attach and Nero being slayers in search and destroy, right? I mean, now you've added Fame into the mix as well, and his specialty is in the search and destroy game mode. Surely, if there was a way into the series now for the Las Vegas Legion to try and tie things up, it should be here in the search and destroy, of course. I mean, again, there is that asterisk of, like, look, these guys are new. We are kind of relying on scrim bucks, as it were, to try and get an idea for what these guys actually look like in S&D. Obviously, S&D scrims are few and far in between as well. So there's not a lot that we know necessarily about the teams as they currently are in Search and Destroy, only as they were pre-champs, right? You know, the last time, ultimately, that we saw them. So, a lot of questions that we still have here, but we're kind of hoping if you're the Las Vegas Legion, I mean, that slaying has to appear here in S&D.
And I mean, Fame on LAG, he was rocking a 1.38 KD inside Search and Destroy alone with a 50% opening duel win percentage. And that's going to be important on a map like Highrise, where you know Gwyn's going to be running routes. Fame has to meet him there and hopefully shut him down if it's not Nero. This is a player that by all means is fantastic in the Search and Destroy, and you expect to put up numbers like that. So if Fame can get going here, give that little bit of an edge over towards the submachine guns of Vegas, then you know Nero's not going to be far behind to follow up, especially when it comes down to the way that we saw Nero play in Major 4 for those opening duels. I mean, Nero was a first blood machine. So a map like Highrise, you can see these subs turn up. It's just a matter of fact of seeing how poorly they did on that 6-star hardpoint. It's a little bit worrisome.
Yeah, well, it's been a good start in this series between the Carolina Royal Ravens and the Las Vegas Legion, certainly for the former of those two teams. A stellar hardpoint to kick off this best of 5. I assume anybody watching this broadcast right now probably is keeping tabs with what's going on over on the main broadcast, but if you're not, here's a shocker for you at home. Omit Brooklyn, 1-0 up versus Optic Gaming. They managed to take that first hardpoint away. Who said that Challengers teams wouldn't perform at this event? Hey, get the hell out of my lobby. And I tell you what, we're going to get into the lobby here from map number 2, folks. We're going to Highrise Search and Destroy. Already first bloods being drawn across the board.
Yeah, don't talk down on the Challenger teams right now, but we don't have any on stage here present. Gwyn and Nero first to fall in the map. Not a lot of control here from Vegas, so it seems like they're going to have to make their way around and try to figure something out, but they lose their lives. Gio's the last one up in a 1 versus 3, and oh boy, TJ is shooting.
That's a beamer right there. You know, we were kind of hyping up Gio in the opening moments for what he was able to produce in hardpoint. You think for a second, hey, a 1 versus 3, maybe. TJ was even weak going into that fight. Just turns and burns. Heads are rolling here on map number 1 already. Gio done and dusted. Carolina Royal Ravens looking pretty oppressive there in round number 1.
That's a TJ Haley ace in round number 1, Brody. That is incredible to see. If you're a Royal Ravens fan, just continuing off of that success from that 6-star map number 1 and not looking back. And now they get a chance on towards their offense. We can see their break off over towards bottom blue. It looks like, again, TJ's going to be looking for some early presence here alongside Gwyn.
You want to try and get control of the B site early on. That's what Carolina Royal Ravens are trying to get going here. Vegas Legion just holding themselves back for the moment. Set nades over the top. None of them really going to connect, but it will send Vegas scarpering momentarily. First engagement, good for Gwyn. Nero now down for the count. You've already got TJ in the site. This is site control here for the Royal Ravens.
Just look how patient that is from Gwyn, watching down the B street and then dropping down, then putting the bomb on. They're not rushing anything at all, and they have good map control with the player over towards top heli. That's going to be Beans.
Wow. How does Attach get away with that kill? That is a big frag to take. It's going to give a realistic chance. Once again, Gio left up in a 1 versus 3. Finds one. Immediately chowed out by Beans, and somehow Gio wins that fight. Can he hit the reset? He will get it. Back up to full 150 HP, and he might have just won the dance with Fellow. Fellow's got no idea that Gio's run right by him, but on the other side of the situation, Gio has no idea that Fellow's on this side of the map. He's seeing where that bomb's been planted for. He's checking that backside area all the way for Fellow. And Fellow is just going to hold his irons on this site. If Gio turned around back at Electrical, it could have been his round. Fellow's going to win the 1 versus 1 in the end. Prevents the 1v3 clutch from Gio, but a little bit of COD timing might have changed that.
I mean, 2 ships passing in the night. That COD timing couldn't have been any worse for Gio in the possible 1v3. Some electric shots again, like we saw back on the 6-star, but with Gwyn popping off 3 kills in that round, a near second ace in a row from the Carolina Royal Ravens. It just seems like Vegas are really lacking when it comes down to these engagements. These individual gunfights are not being met with any pressure from Vegas, and that needs to change heading into this 3rd round because they just cannot keep getting walked on in these early rounds or the start of these rounds. They need to find a first blood here and work off of that.
Just need some kind of advantage right now. Carolina Royal Ravens are just playing around them, and you can see that exact same thing once again here. Look at the positioning across the map. You've got Nero. You've got one side site, excuse me. Wait, and the name's flipped again. Is this wrong? It is wrong. Vegas Legion. I don't even know anymore. The cameras are flipped for a second there. I was on Planet 9. I don't even know. Regardless, numbers now in favor of the Carolina Royal Ravens here. And if you're the Vegas Legion, once again, you're kind of left stranded, looking for a way towards a site. Attach picks up Beans, and, well, now they should be able to get the bomb down.
Should be able to. Beans off that first blood, gets a little bit over aggressive, and that's going to give a way back in for Vegas. They get the bomb planted. Fame's going to go down into the pit. It's attached, sitting towards that B street. Fellow gets spotted like Superman, putting Carolina in the 1v2, and Fellow just gets all three. Oh my goodness, T-Fel, the CEO, showing up.
He's doing it ice cold as well. Look at his face. An ice cold killer there. So he picks up those last couple of kills, and Vegas Legion just cannot find a way into these rounds. And they're trying, you know, they're making these situations even. We saw Gio in that, prior round for a 1 versus 1. There we see a 2 versus 2. They're getting close, but still, this is wild. Carolina Royal Ravens are showing that they right now winning the battle of the roster changes, coming out on top of the first 3 rounds.
This is what you kind of expect, too, bringing a player like Beans into it. I mean, the vibes that he brings, the energy that he brings, he's loud, he's proud for this team, and it just seems like this is such a confident roster of the Royal Ravens, and nothing is getting in their way. They are flying, quite literally, at their opponents. Now, how did Vegas turn this one around? Obviously, calling for those first bloods, but who's going to be that player to deliver?
Vegas Legion trying something a little bit different this time around. Neo is pushed all the way up in towards the B-bomb site. Nice kill from Fame. Nice set nade equally, though, from TJ Halley with a return. Fellow should be able to pit up back towards 100% HP. Now Carolina Royal Ravens looking for a way towards the site. TJ Halley has spotted out his next victim. The call is made to Gwyn for the kill, but Attach comes through from B Street for the double. Fellow now left up 1 versus 2. Good news here in this situation. These players are isolated. He's looking for it, but can't get it done. Kill comes through for Vegas Legion, and they're finally on the board.
Yeah, they finally stopped the bleeding, and Attached doing a good job at taking advantage of that first blood that Fame gave them. He runs up the B Street, gets the time on the players that are pinching out Nero, and not only finding that first one, getting the trade, but he gets the second one, putting that bomb in a really tough spot for Carolina. 3 rounds in a row is met by finally a round from Vegas, and let's see if they can ride this momentum and start to put some more on the board, see if they can claw their way back into this one. I like that we saw Attach finally making some bold plays there. And Fame in that first blood, although he did get traded, went a long way for this team.
At the very least, they've stopped the momentum from the Carolina Royal Ravens, stopped any potential streaks as well off the start of this search and destroy. And once again, just trying to find a way through the Royal Ravens. Again, 3 players over towards B for the Royal Ravens this time around, but look at this route from Nero. All the way in behind enemy lines. He's made this pretty much totally uncontested, but if he does climb those stairs, I think TJ will be able to spot him out. Or at least Beans, somebody from Royal Ravens should know, but Nero is just holding steadfast for the moment.
Yeah, nobody knows. Nero's just waiting for the right moment, and there it is. He may have found it. TJ's going to spot him. Beans has no idea, and Nero with the first blood, immediately answered by Gwyn yet again. Vegas have a pinch coming through. They know Gwyn's going to be in the elevators, but Gwyn is still alive, and he's got TJ watching over him, and Gwyn just living by the hand of his teammates.
Yeah, TJ does everything there in that round for the Carolina Royal Ravens, and granted, he can't quite save Beans' life. I think, you know, the setup was pretty good for the Royal Ravens, a pretty unique look. Certainly, I think, was it Gio going on, or Nero going underground, excuse me, didn't quite expect the positioning to be there, but still, great plays from TJ Halley, and I think on the whole right now, what we're seeing from the Carolina Royal Ravens is very clear improvements in search and destroy. As a team, they're watching each other's backs.
Things that you wanted to see change from Carolina. I mean, we are ticking off our boxes right now. Very sound search and destroy, a fantastic hardpoint, very explosive. Now 4-1 up, just 2 rounds away from being up 2-0 against Vegas Legion. TJ thinking about going deep in towards this A site. He wants to put the pedal to the metal here, but met by some nades. Gio's in trouble. He didn't see TJ cross.
It doesn't matter if he saw it or not. Attach is ready for it. They've got faith in their teammates once again. Vegas Legion now, advantage for the first time in forever. And now, looking for more. Got to keep an eye on player number 7 on the minimap. That's Gwyn. He could potentially cause some issues. And he does exactly like that kill on towards Fame. This is going to divert the attention of the Vegas Legion here. Behind enemy lines, Gwyn is also finding more value. Surely not number 3 for Gwyn. Now just 1 kill away from the ace in the round. Gio, tagged up, has to get the hell out of dodge here. Instead, we'll hit the reposition. The Ego Chow will give the ace to Gio. And a round here to the Vegas Legion.
Quinn is all over the pit. I mean, he's jumping over the
it's
walls.
Quinn,
He's
dude.
watching other people jumping over the walls. He's got an ace.
That's
Again,
crazy.
the second ace from Carolina in this map, and that's going to bring them up 5-1 against Vegas, who just cannot get anything going. They see so frantic. They're giving away so many opportunities, and right there in particular, you see Gio with another chance at getting a 1v X situation. I think it was a 1v3, maybe a 1v2. He just does not get it done towards the end.
Alrighty, well, we still have gameplay here for ourselves. 5-1 now, are the Carolina Royal Ravens. Stellar Ace coming out from Gwyn. He will now go into this round 5-1. You got to imagine, I think, with the amount of rounds that Carolina Royal Ravens have to play with here, they'll probably play around that. Fellow goes down, though, as does Beans. And I think now, especially, as you lose your opening players, especially as you everybody but Gwyn, you are playing for that Predator missile. It does not come through the Christmas, excuse me. Big stop there from the Vegas Legion. They pick up everybody. That is a clean round.
A clean round from Vegas, keeping themselves alive in the high-rise search and destroy. They're going to have to do that 4 more rounds in a row, Brody, just to steal this map away. So right now, it's kind of taking things away from Carolina and the success and putting a real highlight on Vegas's composure in this map mode combo. You see a couple shots there. I mean, that's the LAG special that Fames brings to this roster. Early shots are going to give Carolina a little bit of a slower presence over towards mid, but it's not going to stop Gwyn, who's 10-4.
Yeah, Gwyn is just on a heater right now. Again, off the back of the ace. He's slowed down, I imagine, somewhat. Maybe not, actually. We'll find the route, but I think he's already been spotted out here. The chow from Attach is not good enough. Gwyn will somehow win in that fight, and now he's looking for more. Surely the call should be made here to Nero that Gwyn has managed to get behind enemy lines. I don't think he's ready for this fight, and he absolutely will not be. Gwyn's on the hunt for another ace.
Yeah, Gwyn just cannot be answered. Finally, Gio's going to put him down, but it's still a 2 versus 3. Bomb getting planted at B, and you have presence from, I think that's going to be Beans up top. Heli, so Beans can put this whole thing away, and he's seen them both. Beans calling game in the search and destroy. 6-2 over Vegas. Now 2-0 up in the series.
Wow. I mean, that is a clean search and destroy. And it does definitely feel, I think, since, what, halfway through the hard point, Carolina Royal Ravens have stepped it up a notch somewhat, right? I mean, just in the hard point, obviously, it was that second half where they just went ultra mode. Here in the search and destroy, they give Vegas Legion nothing. And really the only times where it feels like, what, Vegas Legion here are actually in any form of control. What happens? Gwyn comes through for an ace.
Yeah.
What happens? You see clutches from the Carolina Royal Ravens, like that final 2-piece coming through there at the end. It is just wild to me, the way in which we're seeing Carolina Royal Ravens take full control over this series at the moment.
It's just nothing that Vegas can do. Even when Vegas are throwing some wrenches in the plan, changing things up and trying to adapt, it's just met by some kind of individual performance from this Carolina team that just pops off and takes over. I mean, you think even back towards the fellow round where he gets all 3 kills, flying over towards TJ in the pit, or flying over towards, I think it was Nero in the pit, and shutting down a big 1 or 2 versus 2. Everybody is playing good on Carolina, and that is an issue for this Las Vegas team, Brody. They just cannot match the energy. They cannot match the hype that this Carolina change has brought them.
It feels like right now, to be honest with you, I mean, you're talking about hype, right? You talk about energy from the Carolina Royal Ravens, and I think certainly that is there. Certainly that was a conversation point that I think a lot of people talking about regarding Beans, right? You know, Beans coming in here as a very hype player, right? You know, he's constantly talking, he's constantly chatting rubbish to the other team, and obviously you can't do that here in Riyadh, but still, I think, you know, right now it looks like they're just treating this as business as usual. Fellow getting that 3-piece, he's just chillaxing. Yeah, he feels like he should win this game. Carolina Royal Ravens right now are on cloud 9, and they're going to have to continue to do that. They're looking for a clean 3-0 in a series that we said was going to be a close one. Right now, Carolina Royal Ravens are throwing all that and more out of the window. Right now, though, we are going to go to a very brief break. On the other side, we've got a map number 3 control between these two teams. It will be the last one. We'll see you there. What's back, everybody? We've got back here with the Esports World Cup. We've got the Las Vegas Legion going head-to-head with the Carolina Royal Ravens. And right now, the latter of the two teams feels like they're putting a stomping down, Colin. The first two maps, I mean, the first one was relatively close, right, until the halfway mark where the Carolina Royal Ravens kind of found a sixth gear, as it were. But the second map, I mean, they took full control of Highrise Search and Destroy.
Carolina's been on a tear, and it's been their individual performances that have really separated them from Vegas right now. In particular, on this 6-star, it was Fellow and Beans putting on an absolute blowout performance with the AR presence that they were showing off. Just monstrous when it came down to the slang presence on the side of Carolina. And same with the Search and Destroy. This time, kind of you looked over towards the subs of Gwyn and TJ, a couple of aces between the two of them, and they just blew through Vegas in those that second map, at least, like you said. But heading into map number 3 for the Control, we got Invasion, Brody, on the line here for Vegas to extend this to maybe a Vista hardpoint and maybe a map number 5. This Vegas looking for the reverse sweep heading into this map number 3, and at least for the both of them, when it looks at the stats from Major 4, Vegas 2-1 on this map, Carolina 2-1 on this map. These two teams again are even, but you said it before we went to a break. It seems like Beans and Co, they're throwing all these stats out the window because this new roster is cooking.
Yeah, I think we kind of said, right, we didn't really know fully what to expect regarding these two teams, considering they've made the roster changes that they have. But I will say, so far, it doesn't even really feel like it's Beans that's making that much of a difference. It feels like just everybody else is stepping up. Not that Beans isn't doing anything, because he absolutely is, but you look at Gwyn, for example, his ace in the Search and Destroy. You look at Fellow playing as well as he has this series thus far. These guys are treating it like business as usual. Interesting. We'll see how this series goes. Right now, I believe we're not going to be starting this Control. I think Vegas Legion at least thought that they were going to start it like that. But yeah, we're going to be restarting this one before we get into the Invasion Control. But yeah, that's the key thing for me, I think. You know, we're looking at Carolina Royal Ravens, and you expect them to be hype going in to this series. You expect them to be hype as it currently stands. I think there might be a bit, maybe a feedback given to maybe Beans here coming into this team, that even though he's a very hype player and you want to be hype versus the best teams in the world, you don't want to get too heated, I think, early on in the tournament, right? This is the group stage. You don't want to get going. You don't want to be hitting 100% and kind of peaking before you can go anywhere at this stage of the tournament.
No, they look composed and they look comfortable. Even, you know, with, you know, Beans not being as hype as you normally would see him when he's on the main stage, they look like they're in a good headspace for this matchup. And I think that's what I'm most excited about for this Carolina team, because oftentimes you would see them fall behind in matches and then trying to claw their way back into the match, they have to go above and beyond. And this time they're starting off strong and they're staying strong. And that's important when you look at roster changes for teams that are on the fringe of top 8 in the CDL. It's just, how do you make them improve? Seems like they've found exactly the chemistry between these 4 players that they needed to have a good time on stage and play at their best, even if they're not going to be getting loud, if they're not going to have that momentum going their way. And I wish the same could be said about this Vegas team, but they seem a little deflated after those first 2 maps. Rightfully so. Their performance just not as we would have expected, Brody. With Fame joining into this roster, it just doesn't seem like they're meshing very well. It looks like a lot of their timings are off, and a lot of their efforts towards that Search and Destroy just seemed very solo-esque and not really too team coordinated like you expected from this, or like you saw from this Carolina team. And into this Control, it has to change, because you're heading into an Invasion Control where those subs need to put the pressure on, find those routes to run and get onto those points and play that objective. It's going to be really important to see Nero and Fame play at that level we expect them to play in this map 3 and continue.
I mean, you need to see those subs step up, and I think really make the ARs of Carolina Royal Ravens feel uncomfortable, because right now it doesn't feel like they do, at least in my mind. I think you're looking at kind of what Beans is bringing to the table specifically, and, you know, he's having a hell of a time as it currently stands. He's feeling really comfortable. I think you can see that. Fellow is also there, and he's kind of getting heated in these games early on in a positive way. You've really, I think you just got to set the place out the door here on Invasion Control. You know, if you can get an offense, great. I know that a lot of these controls do just very often go round 5. It's kind of just like a kind of comedic point at this point that, you know, it's Control. Going round 5 really doesn't mean anything. But still, I think, yeah, just try and make the Royal Ravens feel as uncomfortable as possible. Try and stop the momentum. And I think it is just kind of a bit of a bummer for them, because as we said, you know, we were kind of hyping up the Search and Destroy. We were talking about the Las Vegas Legion in Search and Destroy, and all of these players seemed very proficient in the mode. To come out flat in the way that they did, and the times where they tried to throw different looks at the Royal Ravens, for them not really to work, I think is a massive positive point for the Royal Ravens. You're at the point now where you're kind of crushing them in this series. You have to come out firing on all cylinders at the start of this invasion control to stop that from happening.
With Optic losing a hard point against Omit Brooklyn and you looking this good if you're Carolina, I mean, you're licking your lips at the potential here with the performance that you're putting on. I mean, they just look like they're ready to take this whole group by storm and not leave any questions asked, which is exciting to see for Carolina. But I kind of put a little bit of harsh light on this Las Vegas Legion side. We could shed some good light here, and the fact that Gio is playing incredible for this team. A breath of fresh air for the Legion, Brody, and if there's anybody who's going to keep that fresh air here and maybe provide a little bit of effort towards the rest of the team to step up, Gio is exactly that person to look at, especially for control, where in Major 4 he was rocking a 1.3 KD. I mean, he was unbelievable for this mode when it's providing that slaying, which is what Vegas are lacking right now. So if Gio can keep on pace like this, you imagine it's only a matter of time before the rest of the team around him steps up as well. And with Invasion being very comfortable over into the defensive side, they will have some time to at least get that confidence back for them.
Yeah, and we often talk about kind of like the challengers players, right, coming into the CDL and what they bring to the sides. Gio is one of the players that has had a meteoric rise this season, right? I mean, I think last season was kind of, I want to say relatively mediocre for him, right? He was constantly on like a top 4, top 6 team, but never really finding the value that he wanted out of challengers. At the start of this season, though, he's on that Lord Gaming roster that manages to take the grand finals of the Boston Open. Impressive enough that he is picked up by the Las Vegas Legion. And I think it's so difficult for kind of new challengers players to make an impact. I think certainly on kind of low-level teams where they're looking for kind of ultimately a band-aid to fix a rather large problem. Gio did a stellar job at that at the start of the season, right? Gio was a great slayer, albeit, he's not like your prime scum, right? He's never going to be that kind of player, but certainly provided a lot of value to the team, did what the Vegas Legion wanted, and now he's here, he's playing well in the EWC, but he needs the rest of the team to step things up. They want to pull off the reverse sweep. We're going into the invasion control, folks. We're seeing Las Vegas Legion kicking things up on the offense, but things not going so well.
No, not at all. The kills again going the way of Carolina, 30. Playing 28. TJ is going to take a look over towards this B zone as it is Vegas hopping on to stop that time. Gio finally going to put some kills here on the board and look for a little bit more pressure. Gio and Fame looking to find those kills and take that space. And now this B zone might look to be cleaned up early on. I think Vegas for a second thought about taking a look over towards A, but they want that pressure over towards B for first off.
Yeah, I think the right decision here from the Carolina Royal Ravens on the defense, right? Don't over-aggress on this situation. Just try and get yourselves in a position where you can set yourselves up for a defensive A. But granted, that is a stellar start from the Vegas Legion to take control in the commanding way that they have. But keep an eye on this. Routing from behind. Gwyn is able to unsettle one. Attach down for the count. Nero also going to get found out by the point. And while Fame might trade things out, this is great transitional fights here being won by the Carolina Royal Ravens. But somehow, some way, Fame is finding his way in behind enemy lines. He is being such a nuisance right now, looking for more value, but Gwyn will shut him down.
Yeah, Fame was just looking to buy some time for the rest of the team to get off spawn, and Nero's going to open up an avenue through that B Street attach, already rushing forward. So Vegas out of their spawn, not in the trap just yet, and the kills to follow up as well. They've broken through. Now they're going to be looking at trying to get towards this A zone, but see if Carolina posted up in some corners, and Nero's not going to be ready for Gwyn.
Well, Gio is ready for him, though. Good trade coming through. Fame also going to find TJ, so players isolated. You're starting to win the fights towards the point. Haven't quite dealt with Fellow towards Water Street side. That's going to be a constant nuisance that you're going to want to deal with sooner rather than later. But players towards Gas. Gunfights being won now for the Vegas Legion. Fame will double up now. Vegas, they're going to swarm the point.
That's 3 in a row for Fame, and they're going to be on A. First segment in. Fellow's going to have to backtrack here, and he needs to go big. Renetti's out. He's going to get 2. Looking for all 3 with the help of TJ, and Carolina break back in towards the A zone, not giving up that second tick. I mean, that could have been way worse if you're the Royal Ravens, so thank the heavens for Fellow there.
Yeah, you're fine with this, though, if you're Vegas Legion. It removes Fellow from the point, and you're even better off with the fact that Fame manages to pick up yet another double. 8 and 4, start of this game. Nice double back from Beans, though. Will slow things down for the Vegas Legion. You can't afford to overheat here with 50 seconds on the clock. You're not going to have that many more chances to hit this point. Shots out from Nero will find Beans. Attach shoots a little bit early as well, and Gwyn will pick him up for it. Again, not a lot of chances here with 40 seconds left. You've got to start winning these fights. Gwyn finds one through Cafe, goes for the weapon switch at the wrong time. Gio able to double up off the back of it, looking for number 3 from afar, but Beans in a position that will unsettle him. Fellow towards the point also finds Fame, and the number are starting to thin out here for the Vegas Legion.
35 seconds, now down to 26 seconds for Attach. He's going to find a kill, but he will be traded out inside the cafe. Not a lot of time here for Vegas, and not a lot of lives to make mistakes either, so they're going to have to take this one slow, but with 15 seconds, still work their way to the point right away.
Only 10 seconds on the clock. And we're losing all the gunfights here. All of it down, really, to Nero. Unless Attach can sprint towards the point unscathed. Yeah, no choice but to take the fight. So you knew that Beans would have taken him down regardless. So not going to be around there for the Vegas Legion. Good effort early on B. They get, what was it? I think it was 15 seconds. They were on the point. So they had a whole 2 minutes or so to get a capture over by A. But it just does not work.
No, and Fellow, I mean, how long was he living over towards that convoy, towards Palace? On the Vegas side, sitting in bridge as well, just buying time for the rest of the team, forcing out those spawns of Vegas Legion. And then eventually, when Vegas does reach the point, Fellow just backtracks and with the Renetti pops off a big 2 to allow his team back in towards that zone, only giving up 4 segments of control across that first round defense. And now to try their hand at attack, they're heading to B right away.
Carolina want to have as successful of a start as the Vegas Legion did in that last round. Got a couple of players on the point here. Vegas Legion are taking their time with this. They haven't got any players through dark yet. Nobody's technically speaking watching it. Never mind, actually, Beans is doing so from afar. Those team shots should be good enough. The Fellow will be able to take a couple down. Good trade coming out from Fame. Damage already starting to be done here towards the point. Fellow's now going to have to turn his attention towards dark. Good call. Fame is pushing the hill, and good team shots from the ARs here. Carolina Royal Ravens. That's B point done.
Yeah, Fellow's turning up here in Saudi. Having an absolute stellar performance. TJ's in the spot of Vegas, just wrecking havoc on them as well. Another double kill there for Carolina. The B zone's going to get secure. 2 minutes and 14 seconds. And a life lead as well on transition here. Gwynn's going to find another kill off spawn. He should be traded, and he will be. But Beans is on the point, working on this first segment. And he's got to worry about Geo just around the corner. He's going to win that out, and Beans is going to stay on this point.
Big kills being made by Beans at the moment. He is alone, it should be said. Vegas Legion having to make their way. Beans has got a lot to deal with here. Can he stomach it? He's already picked up one. Looking for the second. Beans goes huge. Builds on towards Nero and Geo. And now these players in a panic mode for the Las Vegas Legion. Carolina Royal Ravens doubling up on the point. I don't know if anybody from Vegas Legion will touch in time. And the Royal Ravens just continue to fly high.
Benjamin Bean says, don't worry, I'll solo you. And with the presence from his teammates off spawn, he pops off 3 big kills in the A zone to almost single-handedly capture it, Brody. An absolute stellar performance by the newest face of the Carolina Royal Ravens. And just look at the faces of these players. They're locked in, they're smiling, they're chatting with each other. It's just the vibes are flying high for Carolina and Vegas. I wish you could say the same here. Down 0-2 in the control, down 0-2 in this series. It's going to have to be a reverse sweep into the reverse sweep. And with this attacking round, gotta look at B first. No chances for anything else.
Well, you want the same success that you had previously. Vegas Legion winning the opening gunfights as well. They should recognize that TJ's still hanging about up top in Treehouse, but Vegas Legion, they want this transition straight from B to A. Fame is the advanced guard. Unfortunately, won't be able to do anything more than just the opening gunfight, and now Nero starting to feel heat over by B as well. That second tick, I believe, is also not all the way through. So Vegas Legion here, they look so much more splintered than they did on that first offense column.
And because they transition over towards A, they leave B so vulnerable that they don't get anything at really either of them. Second tick's not in at B. They're back off of spawn, and another wave of kills. They're threatened for a spawn trap. You got Fellow and Broken, and he knows exactly that, so he's hoping that he can find another couple of these kills on the rotation in towards B. Well, the rest of the team of Vegas looking to get on. Fellow's got the beat down Beans with the team kill, but might be enough to still hold on to the zone. Bees finally get that second tick in from Fame, but Vegas are on their back foot.
Yeah, if you're Carolina here, just give this one up. Look for some exit fights. Gwyn weak. Just going to wait for the child to come through on the door. Peekaboo! Oh, he reads the reload at the wrong time. That's so unfortunate for Gwyn, but somehow still wins the fight. That's insanity from Gwyn. Exit frags being won here by Carolina Royal Ravens. It's all looking pretty good. Fellow might have just hit the perfect route onto Nero as well. Nero being pressured here. Fellow doesn't have to be the one to finish this fight. And I think just on the whole here, you are just draining time off this clock.
Yeah, 1 minute and 19 seconds. TJ is going to clean up Nero over towards B. You have Beans now sitting over towards the sandbags. Not going to allow anybody presence of this water stream, and that's going to force so much more time from Vegas. I mean, you're looking at another 30 seconds before they even have a chance at getting on this zone, let alone finding these kills to give them that chance, Brody. This is not what you want to see if you're a fan of the Vegas Legion.
This is just so much more indomitable from Carolina Royal Ravens. Hopefully we can actually show you what's going on screen here. We currently can't see it, but I assume it's just pure dominance on the defense from the Carolina Royal Ravens. I think it might have actually
maybe there was a
I'm not
DC.
entirely
You
sure.
see the players
Yeah,
have
DC,
stopped
maybe someone. Yeah,
playing.
okay. I was gonna say because I know we've been saying that they've been looking pretty nonchalant all series long, right? Because I think that's a pretty fair assessment of what the Royal Ravens have been doing to the Vegas Legion. But I wouldn't say this nonchalant. They've not been this chill.
I mean, just look at Fellow. He's chatting with the admin. He's like, no worries. It happens. Like, we've been playing this game. It's August now. It's, we know that this stuff happens for sure. And he's feeling no pressure whatsoever from the game, just maybe not going their way. Carolina are locked in. And, I mean, for Vegas here, it's going to take a heroic effort for the rest of the team. And it was a very slow start from, again, Nero and Attach this time kind of joining in for this control. They just cannot get it going. And even when they do find that presence over towards B, get those kills, you saw them. They tried to bite off more than they could chew, make that rotation over towards A. They're trying to make those bold plays. They just need to play some systematic COD. Go for that B zone, get it captured. Just one step at a time. You know that these teams can do it. We've been watching them all year long. It just seems like Vegas are doing a little bit too much here in the control, especially the offense.
I don't know, dude. That final round, I think, the key differentiating factor for me between rounds number 1 and rounds number 3, even though that round number 1 isn't successful for Vegas Legion, right? I think, back in round number 1, the biggest threat that they were kind of dealing with, right, was Fellow, right, on Water Street. He was the biggest problem. He was the one that was being a constant nuisance, either actually picking up kills towards that Water Street side or just taking kind of pot shots as players tried to exit through what would have been the B site, the B control zone. But, we look towards that round number 3 where Carolina Royal Ravens was significantly more successful and players were not escaping through that B route, right? You had a couple of players that were positioned towards that top side. Things are just so much better for the Carolina Royal Ravens. And honestly, I'll say this much, right? I know that Omid Brooklyn have been pretty competitive with Optic Gaming over on the mainstream right now. I think right now, as I understand it, it's 2-1 to Optic in the control, and they are currently on the offense, so that's probably going to go to a round 5. That's also happening over on Invasion. But there is a real chance that Carolina Royal Ravens, playing the way they are, granted, again, you can kind of ask the question of how much of this is Vegas Legion kind of leaving holes in their gameplay, leaving gaps in the map for kind of Carolina to fill. But if Carolina continue to play like this throughout the rest of the series, if I'm an Optic fan, I'm at the very least, somewhat concerned that Carolina are currently playing firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, and who knows how much that comes down to first match of the day, sometimes not going your way for Optic Gaming or in some light, but it is going to leave some sort of confidence there for Carolina when they do watch that back, when they are getting prepared for their match versus Optic. They know that hard point didn't go their way. So although Optic are leading, still worried about that monster in their closet here from Carolina Royal Ravens. That change into Beans has just revitalized this team, and we didn't get to see them at Champs. Optic haven't played Carolina in a while, so who knows what Carolina are going to be throwing at the world champions when they do reach that stage, as they're feeling good right now, Brody. And I'm excited to see that match as well, because if Carolina can upset Optic, I mean, what a better way to start EWC.
I mean, it's fair to say, I know the Optic fans are going to hate me for saying this, but I think that right now they're in the A streets. I think I'm safe. I think I'm safe from the social media hate after this. I've already got enough for EWC. But I think it's fair to say, I mean, Optic, back in, they won, Major 3, and then they got to Major 4, and they kind of, boot the bed a little bit, DFR'd. There's a chance. There's always a chance. I'm just putting it out there in the universe. There is a chance that, Optic coming off the back of winning the World Championships, that, maybe this doesn't go so well for them. I don't know. Regardless, I think, the positive point here is for the Carolina Royal Ravens. They are playing top-notch Call of Duty. They're feeling pretty good here in this control. Currently 2-0 up over the Las Vegas Legion. Everybody has been firing on all cylinders for the Royal Ravens. They are looking good.
Yeah, and I mean, I think to ease the minds of those Optic fans, Brody, play a little devil's advocate to you. The weight of this
tournament, be an Optic fan here?
The weight of this tournament, it's a little bit different than Major 4 for sure. So I'm sure this Optic team are going to be well prepared for a tournament like this. And I don't expect that same thing to happen. Seemed like one of those moments we're never going to see repeat ever again, but crazy that it did happen in the moment for sure. But here for these two teams, just waiting on them getting back into the invasion control. Carolina leading 2-0 in the control, 2-0 in the series. And one thing that's really been a surprise for me for this team, Brody, that I think we can really touch on is Fellow's performance so far, not only in this control, but in the series in general. I mean, in the search and destroy, he got that 3-piece to single-handedly win them around. Back on this control now, he gets another 2-piece to save them that first round, save them that A zone. You see the support and leadership that he's giving towards this team is backed up by the slaying as well for Fellow. And that's not something we always saw consistently back during the season. And it seems like he's playing a little bit better as well here at EWC. Even in the hard point, he was going pound for pound with Beans. The two of them looked like an unstoppable killing machine. So
yes,
it's good to see that Fellow, who was late to joining this Carolina Royal Ravens roster in Major 1, is turning this team again around here at EWC.
I mean, it just goes back to the conversation point, right? But before we even got into the invasion control, we were talking about kind of the subs, right? Applying pressure to the ARs right now of the Royal Ravens. And they've tried, right? I mean, they've certainly tried to do that, but they haven't been able to. It really is as simple as that. You know, Fellow and Beans have been a constant nuisance for the Las Vegas Legion, and I think that's kind of borne out not just in the stats, but also in the results here, as we see the Carolina Royal Ravens currently 2-0 up in this control. Now, I do believe that we are going to be resetting round number 3 just basically fresh. I don't think there's any streaks here on the board, despite the fact that Carolina, for the most part, have been in dominant control of this control. We're not going to see any streaks here, so this shouldn't be that stressful of a reset, but I think it will be somewhat frustrating for Carolina, considering the fact that they did have basically full map control.
And nearly a spawn trap as well on Vegas, who are on their last lives there. So a full reset for the round. You know, you're going to brush that one off if you're Carolina. Say, you know, if we've already done it 2 rounds in a row, what's another 3rd round if we're resetting it? On Vegas' side, you know, this is a lifeline thrown to you. You got to take advantage of this lifeline that's thrown at you. And I want to see a big change up for their start of their attack here for this round number 3, especially you're looking at that presence over towards B. Last time they got a full wipe at that B zone. They had their players on B ready to capture it, and then they decided that they were going to pressure A instead. It kind of deviated away from that early plan. Yeah, I want to see them off the start here. Just worry about getting that objective and giving them that buffer time for the transition over towards A. Capture B right away. Have hopefully at least 2 minutes, maybe a minute 30 to get over towards A now, and then just work your way out for that slaying, because last time when they tried to make that transition too early, you could see that they were truly struggling.
All right, well, look, Carolina Royal Ravens here. Gonna have to be ultra reverse swept by the Vegas Legion. 2-0 up in the control, 2-0 up in the series. They're just 1 control round away from moving forward in the Esports World Cup towards the next round of their GSL group. Off the start of this round, Carolina Royal Ravens already starting to win the vast majority of the gunfights. Attaches Bean from up top. Nice kill from Beans from the streak. Gwyn will also find the other, and while plan A is out the window, time for plan B. Straight towards A, there you go.
Yeah, Nero on A as well. Fame looking over him, and the team shot's there. The nade's actually going to clean up Fellow. Fame will end up falling, so it's Nero on an island looking to get this first segment locked in. He will have some support from Geo, but Beans is ready for it, and Beans is going to get rid of them both. The first segment in A was captured, but at B, absolutely nothing. Fellow making sure that that is going to be the case of the matter, as it seems like we are not in the game right now on our faces. No, we're back at the game for a second. Carolina, they were a little bit worried at A, but now they have a life advantage, and they've stopped B for the most part.
All right, I know that everyone loves our faces. I get it, all right? They just wanted to see us again in the middle of the game. They didn't want to see Vegas Legion getting slapped around. Right now, it is just Geo left up on the point. Big kills to make, down to 46 HP. Good enough for the fight versus Beans? No. Now on 7 in a row off the restart. He's got himself the cruise missile in the back pocket. This is a dangerous position for Vegas Legion to be in. With 35 seconds on the clock, Beans needs to go huge towards the point. He's going to get shut down, but off the spawn, you got to imagine, maybe that streak just comes straight out.
Why not? If you're Beans, will he call it in? It looks like he is. Streak's going to be used to hopefully stop this progression at B. He's going to be looking at these players. The curve not going to land, so still Vegas able to sit on this B zone. Fame's not going to find that kill in towards Rugs, but Vegas are so pushed up that B shouldn't be a worry of them. Now on their minds, just making sure that they can work off of this rotation and have some presence through the middle of the map.
That was such a smart play call on the whole from the Vegas Legion, right? You know that streak's going to come down. You saw what Beans was doing. You get the notification that he's on 5 in a row. So you just ultimately push A to give your team space to capture B, give Carolina Royal Ravens something else to worry about, but that worry is very quickly subsided here. You win 3 fights, Gwyn responsible for 2 of them, and now Vegas Legion down to the last player. You know it's Nero, you know it's the player that was capturing the point. Gwyn immediately, by process of elimination, recognizes the player is going to be towards that B street. You win the fight. Now 60 seconds on the clock. You got a 5 life advantage. Gwyn looking to press that with more kills. Looking to get it done. Drop shot from Geo, though, will win it. You're starting to make progress here, but not a lot of time for Vegas.
Yeah, making their way around blue. Gwyn also shut down on a streak. TJ is going to fall as well. So Fame's now opening up the map a little bit as they're looking to pierce the heart of this A zone. And Geo might have a chance to find another kill here. He's going to look the wrong way, looking for the player in his spawn. Gwyn cleans him up, so that's good support from Carolina as Vegas are now down to 8 lives to the 13 of Carolina with 30 seconds left. This is the danger zone, Brody, of being knocked out of this match.
If it wasn't attached, it's now going to be Fame. You need to see some individual heroics here from the Vegas Legion. Nero's going to get it done. Big first kill. Now Vegas Legion starting to make the move forward. It has to be now. 10 seconds or so on the clock. Fellow's going to find one inside the cafe, though. Big trade out from Nero. You've got to go. You've got to start hitting the point. Down to the final set of lives. Kills from Attach. Gwyn will find Attach. Fame dies towards the point as well. And the Carolina Royal Ravens cleanly sweep